Because when we're triggered, our system tells us some form of the story, I'm not safe. That's what happens when we're triggered. I'm not safe, I need to fight it. I'm not safe, I need to run away. I'm not safe, fighting or running away won't work, I'm just gonna freeze. If you feel something rising up inside of you, like the fight impulse or running away impulse or freezing impulse, if it's like fight or flight, for example, how can you not follow that first impulse? So that's the first most important step, pressing the pause button. And because this topic is so important to me, I decided to write a children's book about this topic, Lara and Her Protector. And I want to share this experience and knowledge with many other people because my hope is that we can then develop more skill in navigating this and dealing with emotional triggers. Welcome to today's Stream of Consciousness episode. Today on the topic of navigating emotional triggers, from reactivity to inner mastery. I believe that we all have triggers. We all have emotional triggers, and every now and then someone presses our button and we just poof, explode. That's why I believe it's so important and crucial to learn about the mechanism behind it. Learn about why we actually behave the way we behave and react, and especially learn approaches and practices that support us in moving from exploding completely emotionally by being triggered to actually inner mastery and dealing with the experience in a very skillful way. That's why I decided to create this episode to share a little bit of my experience and perspective with you. So let's get started. Can you remember the last time that someone pushed one of your trigger buttons? Where was it? Who was it? When was it? And can you still remember what the trigger was? And the trigger is, for example, someone said something, someone did something, something happened. And that's, to put it into context, not the bad thing, quote unquote, but that's just what triggered some kind of reaction in your system. So the invitation here is just to see which kind of triggers you have, or which kind of buttons can be pressed in your experience that trigger a certain emotional reaction. And often this triggers a fight, flight, or freeze response. So it triggers something where you, from one moment to the other, just get super angry and want to destroy the threat, quote unquote. Or from one moment to the other, you feel like, I'm just going to run away, want to slam the door behind you, leave, and just say goodbye. Or it triggers a freeze response, and you find yourself that you can't think anymore, you don't have access to any kind of logical power and forces within inside of you. It's so difficult to answer questions like, how are you? What do you want? What do you need? Just completely frozen. And because this topic is so important to me, I decided to write a children's book about this topic. So I wrote this children's book, Lara and Her Protector, which you can see over here. Currently in German, but I hope to publish it in English soon as well. So this is very important to me. And I want to share this experience and knowledge with many other people because my hope is that we can then develop more skill in navigating this and dealing with emotional triggers. All right, so step one is identifying which are your triggers. What triggers you? And then at some point you could include, where does this come from? What does that remind you of? Probably something from childhood. And in this step, you don't have to go there. It's an optional step. And I just want to put like a little foot mark to it. This could be like an endless search. So you don't have to go there. Step 3 would be, so to say, learning the skills to, first of all, not react in a way that you actually don't want to react. Like punch another person in the face, for example. Could be a reaction, but I believe that in the core, you actually don't want to do that. So how do I not react in that with that first impulse? And the second part of that step 3, so to say, is how can I bring myself back into balance again? All right, this as a little overview. Now you might have already taken a look at the list of triggers that you experience. Step 2, totally optional, diving into the past. And step 3 is the first part, pressing the pause button. If you feel something rising up inside of you, like the fight impulse or running away impulse or freezing impulse, if it's like fight or flight, for example, how can you not follow that first impulse? And that could be taking a breath, not reacting, taking a sip of water, not reacting, opening a window. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, as long as you get to press the pause button. So that's the first most important step, pressing the pause button. And there are certain strategies that could help you on a more like physical, like embodied somatic way, where you take a breath, for example, or you move a little bit. There's some like more mental approaches and strategies, such as the 10-second rule, where you say to yourself, pause, and then you don't react for the next 10 seconds. Or you can ask yourself, if it's the rule of 10, this is a little similar, how much would this trigger arouse me or like activate me? How much would it activate me in 10 seconds, in 10 minutes, in 10 days, in 10 years? And this is already what you can do in the pause. So after pressing the pause, like drinking water, taking a couple of breaths, opening a window, then what you do in this pause is how you can bring yourself back into balance and center. And there's, for example, this rule of 10. It's a more mental approach, asking yourself, how much will this affect me in 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 months, 10 years? Or what I really love to do is working with the nervous system. And that's also what my children's book is all about, working with the nervous system. And there are two general ways to go about it. You can either down-regulate, and this is, for example, taking breaths, calming yourself down, could be some soft tapping, could be like hugging yourself, it could be just like placing your warm hands in your face, breathing, giving yourself a little self-massage. This is all down-regulating. And then this other part is moving with the energy. Because if you cross a certain threshold, down-regulating won't work. If you're like totally activating, you want to punch someone in the face and then just breathing can work, but there are also other ways. So you can move with this energy in an intentional way. For example, if you're in this fight mode, which in my children's book I call the lion mode, you could stomp with your feet on the ground, or you can do push-ups, push something away, like activating your chest muscles or your leg muscles, like literally fighting off something, but without actually hurting someone. And that's taking responsibility and ownership of your own experience. Or if you feel that it's more like a flight mode energy, you could actually start running around and just like activate your legs. So that tells your system that you're running away from the threat, quote unquote. So always this thought of how can I give my body an experience that it feels safe. Felt sense of safety. That's what we want to achieve. Because when we're triggered, our system tells us some form of the story, I'm not safe. That's what happens when we're triggered. I'm not safe, I need to fight it. I'm not safe, I need to run away. I'm not safe, fighting or running away won't work, I'm just going to freeze. So an emotional trigger can even be something like you're sitting somewhere and you need to do a test and you need to achieve it. You need to get there. You need to get the best grades and results, whatever it is. You need to pass this test. This can create so much stress that your system freezes, and then you get a blackout. And all of us probably already had the situation. I remember various moments where my system just froze. I was like, oh my God. And that's what's happening. So, how to come from reactivity to inner mastery is first of all understanding this concept and the correlation, and then developing awareness for your emotional landscape, for your bodily sensations, for your thought patterns. And then pressing the pause button that you don't react in the way that your system would give you the first impulse how to react. And then choose something, some kind of regulation practice that you can come back into inner balance. And that's basically the game, how to navigate emotional triggers. Of course, there's much, much more that I can share with you. Practices, simple tools, processes, a lot of knowledge and information behind that for you to understand even better. And I would also love to guide and support you on your personal path with your personal experiences, situations, and triggers, how you can integrate this more and more and more. So if you're ever interested in that, just reach out to me. All right. Now we're coming to this end of this Stream of Consciousness episode. So I really hope that that was inspiring for you, that you learned something new, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you in the next episode of Essence.